Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. This week we're on episode 42, and guess what? We're talking Digital Lizards of Doom again. This time around, we're going Lava or Licorice, their new puppet show that is set for educational purposes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the show. We're going to show off the first episode, and we're going to have the cast, the crew, and everyone in between. So let's talk this show.
That goes so hard.
Yeah, that was too hard, boys.
Yeah, it's funny because we were making the intro and we're like, what's the best way to make them think we're vastly more professional and vastly more serious than we actually are? Let's go the hardest way we can, and we did.
Epic music.
Listen,
I don't know. Animated logo.
I don't know what society is going to look like. We either need that intro for the internet or to spur the hordes on as we all fight at a Walmart somewhere. So it's a dual purpose song.
Let's do some looting, boys.
Now, Taylor, I'm so happy that we're going to introduce everybody, because from the picture that I just saw, it looks like Dan is trying to get these individuals in some sort of youth hockey league, trying to get them to better themselves in sports and things like that.
We need to come together and learn some valuable lessons here.
That picture looks like you're trying to save the rec center. So, Jake, let me start with you. Where did you meet this ragtag group? How is everyone involved? We've had the pleasure of getting to chat with you a lot of times and get to experience your work in its original art form. When did this team together? When did all this start happening?
Yeah, so I've known, I think, Dan the longest, and Dan and I actually used to run our own podcast, video cast, vlogcast, whatever you want to call it. We ran that with Meltdown Comics, rest in peace, up in Sunset. Mm-hmm. And then also we would do some episodes in San Diego at Villainous Lair Comics and Gaming, also rest in peace. Both those shops are sadly gone now, which suck because I love those spots. And Dan and I have been doing stuff forever. And then on that same show, we got Trevor. He is part of another writing group called the Four Lords, and they created a series called the Curseborn Saga. And then we had them on as a guest. Dan and I did on our show, and then it was like instant best friends. And Trevor never really left. And then I've known actually, it's kind of freaky. I've known of Ryan since I think I want to say since he was like 11 and I was like 19, or 18 or 19. Okay.
And then 17.
This is getting in one of those like scenarios where
you use more words. Please define more of the things that you are talking about.
Don't lead with that, Gabe.
Wow. Anyways, so I used to play in this band, and the guy's house who we rehearsed at, he'd always tell me about this guy who was an amazing drummer, this kid who was an amazing drummer, like right down the street. Like, dude, he's like, I'll walk my dog and I'll go and just listen to this guy play drums for like 45 minutes. He's so good. He's so talented. And I would go like, he's like, you got to come and watch this kid play drums sometimes. And I'm like, no, I don't, I don't want to watch some 11-year-old play drums. Like that's the weirdest thing. And so then I like met Ryan. He was working at a yogurt shop, and I met Ryan, and then he had a Lamb of God t-shirt on, and we both really like metal. So we started talking about that. And then when I finally went, and then we just kind of kept running into each other. And then we were like, okay, I think the universe wants us to do something creative together. So, we just started making stuff together. But when I finally went to Ryan's house, it was the house that
years later when we were both adults.
Yeah.
Listen, he has explained. Listen, I have more than enough context. You're an amazing drummer, a child prodigy. He heard of your ranks amongst the schoolyard, and he couldn't do it. Then there at the frozen yogurt where you had
yogurt shop.
Yeah, I love the idea that you have this black shirt with this thing on, and it's like, wait, is that a? And then he looks a little closer. That's the metal band. Okay, good.
Smock, bro. Yeah.
So yeah, and then we all just kind of would, like Trevor was saying earlier, like we've been working on a bunch of different projects together, and I think Trevor was the first person to hear about Lava or Licorice. I think it had a different name at the time, but each one of these people, Trevor, Dan, and Ryan, have already been a huge part of Digital Lizards of Doom's development. Trevor's helped me out with a bunch of videos. He's performed with me live. Dan's one of the producers and co-writers for the graphic novel series. So Dan is well versed in DLOD lore, and Ryan has drummed on multiple songs for DLOD. He's done a lot of DLOD's music videos and other video productions. So yeah, it was like I had this idea for like a Jeopardy style show for kids, but with Digital Lizards of Doom characters. And then I told Trevor about it first. I was like, hey, can you help me write this thing? And then I was like, oh, this is something we should get Dan in. Cool. And I was like, yeah, Ryan will probably film it. It'll look really good if he films it. And then the ball kept rolling and rolling. And
Gabe, hold on. Let me butt in here just real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
We had puppets made to do something with like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, like an eternity
I think it
ago.
was about 3 at least, if not probably more than that. Like this is I remember this in 2018 or 19, dude. This was before
4 years ago.
The dark times.
Gabe was just like, I want to make some puppets.
Yeah. and honestly, me and Gabe were talking about it. We're like, what can we do that's like video content for DLOD? Like what's something that could be episodic and repeatable and fun? We were like, puppets would be cool. And then we were coming up with ideas. We even had like episodes written for it. It was gonna be like music centric.
Why don't I remember this?
Dude, I have like scripts written. I have an episode written. Remember there was going to be one where like
this is all content on content. This is great. Yeah, keep going, Dan.
Totally. So those puppets have been like sitting in a box, like rotting for years, with us just like not knowing what to do with them. And we kind of like would forget about them periodically and then remember them, and then like we were saying earlier, the pieces all just kind of lined up at the same time where Ryan is an incredible DP and had time and energy to work on this. Me and Trevor had the energy to write it and direct it, and Gabe had this idea all at the same time. So it's just like the stars aligned and the puppets were there waiting. So
I know a little bit about the puppet game, and I watched a documentary about how Jim Henson revolutionized it by he got the seams on the inside. That's why they look different. How do you even go about getting custom puppets? Are there different houses? Are there better houses? How do you get into the puppet game?
There's a prestigious circle. Only
we got the guy.
Only few can enter. You have to go through many
council
obstacles.
of elders. Yeah.
Yes, you can. One does not just order puppets.
Okay. See, that's what I figured. Okay, so then what happens?
We got
ordered them
made in so a lot of the studios I was talking to, because obviously I wanted legit puppets. I didn't want like sock puppets. I wanted like legit puppets that were going to be on camera. And a lot of the studios I was talking to, the puppet studios, they were talking about, they were hiding these really weird hidden things. And I read everything really carefully. So I was like looking at the bottom of these contracts, and it was like, we'll make the puppet, but we own like, it was like 10% of the film rights for the first 5 years. It was like of production. And I was like, whoa, and no one ever pointed that out to me. And then so I couldn't find any place in the US that would make them the quality that I wanted without having that ridiculous deal in there. So then I found this place in New Zealand called Picture to Puppet. And then that's where we got all of our puppets made except for DJ Vinny Volcano. He was made by Pop Culture Puppets here in the U.S., but we had a private agreement outside of the company. So
just throwing out a lot of puppet plugs right now, huh?
Yeah, man. You know,
for free.
For free.
Well, I'm sure they're going to appreciate it when you come back. I'm sure they're going to appreciate it when you come back and start talking about season 2 and things with them.
Yeah.
So it's good to have it. Dan, what was some of the influences? What were some of the ideas that you were having for Lava and Licorice? What are your other puppet influences in this show?
Honestly, I wanted to make something super weird. Is always my first instinct in anything creative that I do. I want it to be super freaking weird. And at the same time, I want it to be approachable and fun. So I think of stuff like, you know, I grew up like watching 90s cartoons, man. The Rocko's Modern Lives and the Hey Arnolds and the Ren and Stimpy's. Like, I want something that feels fresh and strange, but also is fun and light and approachable. So I feel like we nailed that pretty good. And every person that I've showed it to that isn't like of the same mind that, like, you know, watches cartoons as an adult, their first thing is like, this is weird. And then a few seconds later, they're laughing at it. So I'm like, oh my God, that we nailed the vibe. That's exactly what I want adults to feel, is like, what is this? This is weird, but also it's funny and I'm enjoying it. So I know kids get that, and adults kind of, there's like a little bit of a barrier they need to get over for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel happy about where we landed with the vibe.
Well, and cartoons are in such a renaissance right now. I feel like the art form has never been like stronger than it is right now. I feel like there's amazing. I feel like every year there's another amazing animation house that pops up somewhere that does something a little bit different. For such a long time, it was really just, you know, Japan, and then the Korea was all your favorite shows are drawn by Koreans, right? Like all your favorite Saturday morning cartoon shows, but no one ever talks about that. And now I feel like it's such a bigger umbrella. So I'm glad that you are getting eyes and stuff on there. Trevor, what has been finding the cast? What has it been like recording these things onto audio?
Oh man, it's been pretty wild, honestly. Like
hold on. What was? I want to know what the laugh was.
No, you don't. No,
okay.
you don't.
No,
no, you do.
It's been a roller coaster, dude. That's what the laugh was. Yeah.
Yeah, like okay, you gotta understand. Like we've done so many creative projects together. So like at the start of every new one, it's just like, okay, well, let's just do this and see what happens, you know. And they can either roll and turn into something or roll and fizzle out. So like, it was kind of this funny thing, like we're making a kid show with puppets, like, okay. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, the scripts are done and like everything's coming together. And then it was like, okay, we're scheduling a table read, and we're like, okay, we have table read with actors from a show and another show and this. And I'm like, okay. I kept joking, I'm walking around like, out of everything, it's the freaking puppet show. Like, it's the puppet show. That's how, you know. And we did these table reads, and we kind of had a little bit of push and pull, and like we started finding ourselves taking it pretty seriously, like really wanting strong performances and people that we could work well with, who could take direction, and so then we actually had the opportunity to, you know, a long shot at the very end of casting to get. Are we allowed to name them? You're on mute, Gabe.
You're muted, buddy.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to? Yeah. As a long shot, Ray Porter from DC Universe, Gabe, he had done an introduction for one of the DLOD. Was it book 3?
Yeah, book 3.
Book 3. And so Gabe hit him at the last second, like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And he was like, "I'm in." And then all of a sudden, we were recording him over like on Google Meets.
That's a funny story too, because we were struggling a little bit with that character, and Gabe had mentioned in the past, he was like, oh yeah, Ray Porter mentioned he might want to do like Echo's voice for like, I don't know, the audiobooks or something. And that was like, you know, a year ago. And then, you know, we're struggling with this. And then I'm like, Gabe, didn't Ray Porter say he would do it? Why don't we ask him to do it for the puppet show? And then we're all like, would he do like this? Like, you know, this is a kid's puppet show for YouTube. Like, would he even be down? Like, The man's a big
It's also
star,
like,
you know, like
yeah, it's also like there's like when we're on the phone with Gabe, he's like, I don't know, dude, I don't know, and we're like, just send him a text, like, you know.
Well,
Like,
we were at a burger joint, you know, after we recorded one of the actors, I think.
mhm,
And that's kind of where
Yeah.
we all sat down and looked at each other and said, dude, why not? Like, just
Why
send
not?
the message, see what happens, you know?
mhm.
But this is why King Arthur needs his Knights of the Round Table. And that's why, I mean, that's also part of this project. Because when one person pulls back, the other person's like, nah, what does it matter?
Yeah, what does it matter?
And you've worked on so many
Mm.
projects. Obviously, you have, you know, after you make enough content, you get that sixth sense of like, okay, this is a real fun thing that we're going to do and no one's going to watch, but it was really great spending time with everybody. And when you do that thing, when you're like, oh, this is working, and you're thinking about this when you're not around people, and you're right, you're bringing ideas and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Ryan, how do you go about shooting a puppet show? What cameras do you use? How do you go about making this in this sort of context?
Yeah, so when Gabe first spoke to me about the project, we were talking kind of about like, you know, how do you make this believable to any viewer, not just kids, but you know, but all ages, right? And so you run into this kind of a suspension of disbelief issue when you're filming puppets, right? Because they're a physical thing that exists, but how do you put them in a world, right? Where do you, is there a background, all this stuff? And so the strategy that we kind of came up with was, let's mix and match every layer of this world. So it's like half real, half fake, half animated, and then half like 3D animated. So
That's
essentially,
four hats.
quarters.
Exactly.
So we shot, if I showed you the behind the scenes of what everything looks like before it's done, it looks completely different. But I mean, we shot everything on a red camera on a blue screen, and some of the props that, like, for example, like Pineapple Pete's podium or the boxes that the characters are trapped in, those are real. But what's funny is they're real, but they're like a vinyl, kind of like a flat texture that was just printed on something. So we're just messing with like what is reality. And I think what happened is because you have that mixture of, you know, live action puppet, live action prop, but it's a flat print vinyl, and then you have a CG background, and then you also have 2D elements. When people watch it, they don't even know what they're looking at, you know, so they just kind of buy it. They're like, they just accept it because it all, I think, honestly, with a little bit of sheer luck, it all kind of worked perfectly, and it looks really cool, and I'm super proud of it. So
We've had people randomly say, so these puppets they're not real puppets, they're CG, right? Like those are like animated. And we're like, nah, dude, those are physical puppets.
yeah.
That's my favorite, I think, comment that we've gotten, just because it's like interesting. I didn't expect that to be the reaction at all. It's no, these are real puppets, man.
It's so funny as you're talking about you're filming it here, but you're putting all these components together. Ryan, it kind of sounds like a Fellini film. It kind of sounds like a film, right? Like he's screaming at it. You can talk to the actors, you can get whatever performance you want to, because all of those other components are going to be plugged in later.
Yeah, it's insanely disjointed. All the pieces, putting it together is an insane task. But you know, we have a good team, so.
Who and I don't know if this is on the list of question, who is the person that keeps the larger episode in mind? Because you have all of these pieces, but then it gets put together in the recording process. It's going to get put together in the editing process. Is the script your guide, or are you also doing storyboards with these things?
So Dan and Trev and Gabe do all the writing. I don't really have a hand in that portion of it. So they essentially give me the script, and then I look over the script and think about how we're going to film it, you know, on a logistical level. So we essentially just film each character separately, and then we just take all of those elements and then we order them out in the edit. And a lot of the cuts come into play later, you know, like we're not planning the cuts ahead of time so much as just filming everything kind of all as a whole, and then everything just falls into place naturally, you know?
The whole idea was to keep it extremely simple, right? So like, you know, when a puppet is talking, you get that puppet on screen. So it's like in the script is just in like an AV script format, and then it just literally says like wide of this puppet, close up this puppet, and then it's just like, so we know everything is extremely simple. I think like one of the coolest tasks in this whole thing was watching the puppeteer Devin do
Oh
the
my God.
performances, and he's coming in, you know, not having used these puppets, right? Some of them, like Commander Echo, you have to squeeze in order to get him to open his mouth, which is a not as the other one of the other puppets that you have to open, right? Dana's head is really top heavy and makes your
Very
really
heavy.
on your arm. So he's looking at, if you saw in that video, Gabe's sitting next to him, he's queuing up the audio, and he's watching the waveforms to see when he's going to open. And on top of that, he has to know, okay, we're going into this line, and Dan's directing him saying, you know, okay, we need you to be really big here. We need you to this. And this guy went for look at this. This is for Vinny Volcano, and it's two-handed puppet. And he did 2 days of these, which probably like 12 to 16 hour days, just sitting there doing puppeteering to the waveforms. That to me was like, I was watching it going like, this is, and he was just like, yeah, okay. Oh,
well,
more of his hand. Yeah,
it's so funny because you poo on things that you don't know. A drummer, what are you doing? Just banging on things? And it's like, no, there's actually a system to this. Puppeteering is the same way, and there's mime, and they are performing through this thing. And then not only that, there is challenges associated with that. Is there now that you have been shooting, do any of the puppets need a rework?
Oh God, yeah. It's like you just triggered us, dude.
Okay, I apologize. I'm so sorry, Taylor. I didn't mean to trigger the guests. I apologize.
So we mentioned Dana is top heavy. She has like a beehive haircut, and her head weighs like pounds. And the way that her mouth was built, there's like not much like purchase on it. So you're using like your fingertips to manipulate pounds of like puppet head when you're using her. So within 2 takes, you are cramping on trying to puppeteer Dana Deathly. And Devin, the champion, and we filmed her last stupidly. We should have done her first when we're like fresh and had like the tensile strength, you know, like, so all the other ones are fine. Pineapple Pete puppet is fine. Vinny Volcano is awesome. Like they're all totally workable. Obviously we'd like to upgrade them at some point just because like, you know, just make them look better and better. Why not have the production quality raised to as high as it can go? But Dana was like falling apart, impossible to use, like causing us pain, physical pain to use, which sounds so stupid that like operating a puppet is like, I had to do a few takes as Dana just like to do some pickup shots after Devin left one of the days. And at first I was like, why is he having so much trouble with Dana? Like, come on, dude, it's just a puppet. And then 2 takes in, I'm like, okay, I get it. This sucks. This is miserable. And I've been doing it for 14 minutes and he did it for 14 hours, you know, like, so Dana.
But you should see the forearms on Devin.
Dude, shredded.
Like, massive.
Yeah.
In all of my favorite puppet shows, I feel like there's always a giant puppet that's just like a guy in a full suit. So just like in Fraggle Rock, there's a dude in a full suit. Are there any full suit puppets yet introduced in the world?
Okay. The closest thing that we have so far, and this is a bit that I came up with and like wanted in the show so bad, and I fought for this one, is some of the shots that show Pineapple Pete manipulating the podium. Those are my hands. Those are my arms that come in. And that's just one of the weird things that I wanted to be in the show. And I've had in my head the whole time, I want a full-size like human man puppet or woman puppet to be in it at some point. It's not something we've really talked about, but it's kind of something I've just like been picturing the whole time, that like either one of the characters in certain shots is like a full person in a suit, or there's just a new character that's introduced that is that. I've also like been thinking about a live action person, like a human actor being on the show in some form. If we ever have like a guest star come in, I'd like them to, just be a person inside one of the boxes, like.
He's so good.
Yeah. So yes, that's something I've definitely thought about. We haven't talked about it much, but there are elements of it just in like the production of it. But
If
yes,
Jack
It would
Black
be
is
interesting.
available-
Yeah, we've been thinking about Jack Black, and it would be interesting to maybe like use his face, but then make little puppet like things to accent, like give him like puppet eyebrows or something
oh my
like
God,
that. Like
yeah.
some like sort of like make his face half puppet, but keep him live. That would be really cool. Something like that.
Yeah,
That'd be
I think
great.
that's our dream guest appearance.
Yeah.
He'd be so good.
I mean, I don't know. Where do you hit up like the PBS conventions? Where's Steve hanging out from Blue's Clues? Because that guy's back now and he is ready. And I feel like
really?
he's just like, he like did an apology video. He's like, hey guys, I left. And I was like, bro, are you talking to me or my inner child right now? He almost made me cry. And so much of that, I mean, Paul Rubens just passed away. And I mean, so much of that show, it's like, right, it's for kids, but like, is it? You know what I mean? That show is, and I appreciate that you have brought that idea to this as well. The boxes idea, is there any influence of the puppets being in those boxes from Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
I don't know if we've talked about it, but in my head, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I grew up on that show. Cartoon Planet and Space Ghost Coast to Coast, those are my jam, dude, for sure. So especially Commander Echo has that feel to me for some reason. And like the lava, like the Moltar scenes, like the lava down there. Yeah, it all definitely is reminiscent of that for sure.
I also hate to say it that when you guys do the video game, that'll be like Star Fox, you got to use those puppets for the different the different mission briefs and stuff like that.
I love how
Definitely.
you said Star Fox. That's my all-time favorite game.
Dib it. Yeah, 100%.
Love that.
Now did that because everyone's different, and I feel like depending on whose garage you were in, are we talking the N64 one or the Super NES?
For me, it was the N64. That was with the console I had when I had the game. But yeah.
Yeah, both, honestly. I think I have beautiful childhood memories from each of those. I think I'm perfectly down the middle there. SNES was like my first true console love, but N64 was a massive part of my childhood too. So yeah, both. I'm gonna go both on that.
Taylor had the Super NES downstairs, so we had to share it with his little brothers. But he had the most banger of games for it. He had all the good. The Avengers game. I remember there was the Spider-Man game. Of course, there was Mega Man X. Of course, there was Super Mario World. What else am I missing?
We had Mega Man X. We had Mario Kart. Obviously, that was a big one. The Jurassic Park game that we can never beat. We just did that first.
That's hard, dude.
And the Tasmanian Devil game. We
also
played a lot.
game.
And
yeah,
the Godzilla one that we didn't know how to play. We just played it.
Yeah.
There's a beauty to
that. This project is already so big. Do you give yourself manageable checkpoints? Are you giving yourself like different spots where you can applaud yourselves for the work that you've done to continue going to the next checkpoint?
It's kind of we do a bunch of stuff and then somebody somewhere adds more stuff to do and we all just have to figure it out.
Yeah, somebody somewhere.
Somebody.
One of us for it.
I think they're aiming that one. They're aiming that at the dad of the group, I'm thinking.
Yeah. No, actually not. I'm not usually the one.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. It's definitely not the dad. He's the one usually going, we need to slow down.
Honestly, yeah, like let's manage expectations. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
Dan does that for sure.
I'll own that. I'll own that. I like even right now, I'm trying to carve out some time. It's really difficult because we have Or Licorice. We have a couple other things in the works that are connected to Or Licorice that we're working on. And I am I need to get back to working on book 2 because even though book 2 finished, we have a new version of it coming out through Paper Cuts and Mad Cave Studios, and so that's been kind of like this dark looming cloud, because my time has been so stretched across all these different things, and they're all good things. They all need to happen, so for the greater good of Digital Lizards. But so yeah, sometimes there's like those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll wake up like what are we doing? This is insane. But we have a good team, and everyone always bands together. Like everyone always shows up. Everyone's always like ready to work. And if we're not ready to work, one of us will get the others like psyched into it. Like wherever the energy is lacking, we'll be like, all right, we're gonna, if it's like before a recording session or something, like one time, I think everyone was just kind of tired, and I just grabbed a guitar and we just did like a really quick sing along just to like warm up and just get in the zone, go from real life to DLOD land. And
then Dan goes, he's like this. He's like, what song is that? It's a DLOD song. He goes, it's pretty good.
I am the dad, dude. I'm sorry, guys.
That is a true story. That is a true story.
I did exactly that.
100%.
I wasn't trying to do a bit either. That's just me.
Dude,
100%.
Gabe has like a lot of ideas, and it's really funny because it always starts off. The puppet show was like, hey, let's do something so simple and so easy. I don't want to put time on. I don't want to take everyone's time, and it's like, okay. And now it's like, it's just like, this will be easy to do. This will be easy to do. This will be, and then we're just like, but the thing is that the team, I'll take this. I'll take this. I'll take this. It's working.
But it also kind of, one of the ththings you said is, be so simple. We'll use puppets, but it kind of reminds me of all those cooking shows where the hardest thing to make is the thing everybody knows. Everybody knows what the best mashed potato tastes like. It might be your grandma's, it might be your mom's, but like if you eat a mashed potato, so there's a feeling in, the fact that we are approaching it from this way, there's a look and stuff to it, and you're trying to accomplish that. This through line of music has now come up a couple of times. Not only the musicality of the group, but also our favorite bands. What are the other musical influences in our lives? They could be musical influences on this show, or what are some of the things that give you energy to keep moving on? And anyone can take this.
Ooh, I feel like anyone correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I listen to the most different. Like I feel like I have the most variety of music personally. I think, but
yeah, maybe.
So I can't really like track anything down because I don't know. You
say that, Gabe, but every time you play stuff for me, it's either like metal or pop punk
or Wheeler Walker Jr.
But Gabe does find the most. Like for me, I mostly listen to metal and EDM, and then Gabe will be like, "Yo, look at this, this random indie folk guy." So Gabe gets around in the music scene. It's crazy.
The reason, Dan, is because I know that you don't technically listen to those songs, and when I show you those types of songs, it's specifically for you because I'm like, oh, this is a song I feel like Dan
could be a gateway drug for Dan.
You're his personal algorithm. You're his personal Instagram algorithm of like, I've curated this special song for you.
He's my metal Sherpa, dude. Yeah.
Dude, Gabe straight up will make like the best playlists. Like Gabe made like what'd you call that EDM playlist, Gabe? It was
Welcome to the Opera.
Yeah, Welcome to the Opera, and it's freaking awesome, and you made me a Poppy playlist, just like that goes through Poppy's discography, which is crazy.
Wrote like a story to it, and it's
Have you shared these publicly? Can other people get on this EDM bandwagon?
Can you share Apple Music playlists?
Yeah, you can. Sure, I think you can make it public.
There you go.
I would say musically, like for this stuff, for a lot of things, like honestly, I love Gabe. Gabe's an insane guitarist and singer, and I love listening to his little voice memo like voice recordings. Those are crazy cool. But like so that's an inspiration for me, honestly. We've all four been in bands and have played shows live, and maybe still currently. But when it comes to this stuff, like I just think of Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny and like musicals and like just like, man, what was that song in Tenacious D when they're storming the Rock and Roll Music History Museum? Storm the gates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Storm the gate. Like stuff like that. Like something that's just crazy fun and
Speaking
helps
of
with storytelling.
Speaking of Tenacious D, Trevor, Ryan, and I actually got to share this stage with Kyle Gass one time.
That's true.
To open up.
That was fun.
We opened up for him. That was fun.
Where did you do that?
I know.
Down there or up here? Where did you do that?
Down there.
Down there.
It was the soda bar, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
You know what's funny, real quick about that? I get this email from the booking guy, and he goes, he hits me up every once in a great while, and he only hits me up when he needs a weird band. And that's like, he doesn't say that anymore, but like the first time he did this, I've never met this guy in person. He only does their booking. He goes, "Hi, my name is blank, da 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 da. We're looking for a band to open up for this band. They're a French female duo, and they dress like giraffes." And like,
the Giraffe Sisters, they're great. They're really great, you guys. You should get into the Giraffe Sisters.
They have like Shakespeare influence, and like we can't find a band to open up for them. Could Digital Lizards of Doom open up for them? It's like, so it's always when he only hits me up when the touring act is something that needs like a weird opener, and it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Before you start doing this show live on stage, you're going to need different puppets. You can't have people's hands cramping and then try to play music. We got to figure out some in between so we can do this show live.
I'm trying to make robots actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I legitimately am. I've actually already talked to a couple people in robotics that my friend started a robotics team when we were in high school. And just through that kind of got me interested in robotics. I've kept up with it since then. And so I actually do have a couple friends in like different robotics, industries, which is kind of weird. So I've like actually already reached out to them and been like, hey, not saying I have the money right now, but here's a problem I'm trying to solve. Do you think you could make me like if money wasn't an issue, could you make me an exoskeleton that we could control and that we could actually make this puppet operate live, like, and even trigger it to like a waveform? So I'm actually having those conversations right now.
Are you talking like Chuck E. Cheese puppets? Or is that what kind of it? Are we talking you can control them like Jim Henson, or are you thinking just
Chuck E. Cheese?
What's that?
I was thinking Chuck E. Cheese or like the Ninja Turtles rock show that they did in the 90s.
But those are real people. The rock show those are real people.
Right.
Those are real people in there. Yeah. That was wild. But no, this would be
like a weird hybrid of the two of them.
Yeah, this would be in between. This would be like an actual exoskeleton that would be like an arm, and then it'd be like
probably be an inside skeleton though, because you would have the dizzy on the outside, but
an endoskeleton.
Yeah, there we go. And then that the arms, and then it would be kind of like a spine of some sort with a hand, and then you could operate it like
sick.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I don't know how much time you've actually spent talking to Gabe about just everything in his life, but I've never heard this robotics thing ever. But in no way does it like you could bring up like, oh, Gabe, like, have you ever like thought about like starting like a fruit orchard? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I like know these two dudes that have.
You haven't heard about the robot idea?
No, I haven't. But like,
literally, I've heard this is like the 7th time I've heard about this idea.
Okay, this one's fresh for me. But Gabe knows somebody that does literally everything. The
So
same with like the Ray Porter thing when he was like, "Oh yeah, like I know that guy, and like he might be interested." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, doesn't surprise me."
I wish I had the ability to think when I meet people to think about them as like harvest, right? Like harvest moon, like this ground is fertile. I can plant something here and something will come of it. Now, I understand that metaphor is for the fruit orchard idea, but I mean, like, you all have such talents. I would never be like, I should call Dan to write something with, or like, oh, you know what I mean? But just like you said, you just have to send the text message. I just have to say, hey, Gabe, let's do this thing. But it's interesting that you have that ability and you all spur each other on. What have been some of the roadblocks you've ran into? Because right? Like Donald Rumsfeld says, there's the known knowns, the things that are going to be a problem, the known unknowns, right? It's going to come up. Then there's the unknown knowns. You're going to run into this problem. What have been the unknown unknowns? You didn't know it, and then it popped up, and now we got to deal with it.
I would say first one is managing the amount of content that we can imagine and want to produce, and trying to schedule that properly. There's like a huge weight on the post process, which Dan and Ryan have been mostly handling, and so I think like just trying to help them navigate. It's hard. I mean, like there's just like a lot of work that needs to be done there, and so like as we add more and more things like these shorts that we're working on, Dana's stand up and Dizzy's word of the day and all these, they all still have to be shot and they all have to be written and so it's not just like, let's just do something quick and easy, because
they don't just appear.
Yeah, so surprising.
Yeah.
But honestly, when you said roadblocks, I was really thinking like, I haven't really felt like we hit any roadblocks yet that were that, that we couldn't handle, to the point where it was like the biggest roadblock was the amount of stuff we were putting on our schedule. Then Ryan was like, well, are we really that busy, or should we just do it?
We're both. We are really that busy, and we are just gonna do it.
It's a both type of thing. It's like, when we were hyped after we filmed that first, the first season, we honestly edited the crap out of that thing so fast that if you could budget to get that edited quicker than we might want to schedule. But it's scary because you don't want to put those deadlines on ourselves when you don't know what's going to come up in the future. But it's kind of like it's trying to balance you can do it in X amount of days, but you want to give yourself enough buffer, but you don't want to give yourself too much buffer where things take too long. And that's probably the hardest thing to try to gauge right now.
We also all have to make a living too. Like we all have jobs that aren't this. Like we're spending money on this right now. We're not making money off of it. Like, Ryan's up in LA working on a project right now. Like I just came off a week of shooting events every day and I'm like, we're all run pretty ragged, and then we have to go and work on this too. So, it is a labor of love.
Well, the work that you've put in will come back to you in the most positive of ways. Here we are. Day. How long did the writer's strike go on, Taylor? 175 days, 100 and things are going to come back, which means work and things like that, which will take you away from this, but will also give you that windfall to allow you to continue to put money and things into this project. And I hear you, because it's not only this thing that we want to then have happen, but you all probably have relationships or want to be in relationships or have other obligations in your lives. So yeah, I hear you. And the world is, once you unleash this though, people are going to be demanding it from you. So I'm glad that you know about some of that. And I think as long as you could put breaks in there, I think you guys are running
breaks.
You know what you're running to, but I think you don't want to burn it. I don't think you want to burn this out. I think it's okay to take a break from it, because there's so many fertile ideas.
I think you also just brought up another potential elephant in the room and roadblocks is the strikes, man. When we started conceptualizing this, none of that was happening.
God, yeah.
Like we were just like, all right, let's roll, man. Like there's nothing stopping us from getting actors and writing this. And yeah.
Can you touch we talk about this with people, and I feel like when you talk about the industry and stuff like that, if you're not working in it, people don't necessarily understand. How did this affect you? Even if only a little bit, what were some of the things you guys ran into?
Well, the biggest thing I would say, because we're like essentially losing money on this project right now, we are put in like the lowest subcategory of SAG signatory, which is like the micro budget project.
Nano micro.
Yeah, just like the little baby budget boys. So we are like, in order to pay our people appropriately, all of that is just negotiated by us. So we are not beholden to any of like we don't have to get people health insurance. We don't have to do any of the crazy things that the big studios need to do that they're all striking about right now. So as far as like a practical standpoint on like how do we get actors when people are striking, like we are all above board on everything. But then there's the next layer of like, is it touchy to have people promote stuff when there's a strike going on? And the answer is like, yeah, kinda. And that's all kind of a personal choice for all of the people that we've hired on. And, you know, we're going to respect whatever choice they make on that. At the same time, we want these people because they're good and they are our characters and we love them in the roles that they're in. So we want to do whatever they need us to do on their side as well. So the answer on how it affected us is there were a lot of panicky moments where we're just like, oh crap, is this going to work how we want it to work? And are these people going to be able to work without trouble happening? And for the most part, the answer has been yes, but only because we are so small and our budget is so small and we're not beholden to a lot of the stuff that the big dogs are. So
we had to hustle. Like we knew it was coming. We had to hustle and record everyone before it happened. And
that was the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was getting everybody recorded before it officially struck, because, you know, just not necessarily for like if our production was doing anything out of pocket, but more so just on like a solidarity type of thing. Like you just don't want to be that guy that's like, especially right at the beginning, that's asking people to do something in that situation.
It's a bad look. Yeah.
You know, we tried to get that done beforehand and then just keeping the communication open, but it definitely slowed down, I think, the overall release because of promoting.
Well, and obviously this was an idea that also started pre-COVID, and you know what I mean. And it's not like, right? It's not like COVID affected this project, but like whatever energy could have been put into it then, you know, the world slowed down. So this is right. There are all these other factors that are affecting this thing, but here you are now. We've talked about, we're talking about the show. We're talking about shorts. We're talking about an album. We're talking about a concert show. We're talking about robots. What is the next what is the next avenue in addition to the show? What is the next avenue we will most likely see from you, Creative Bunch?
Most likely, and what our dreams are two very different things.
Sure.
There's one thing that I know I really want to do, and Gabe really wants to do, and Trevor, we all really want to do. Should I even say it, Gabe? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Do it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just a dream. It's not like we're like working
peer
on
pressure people here, unless you want us to force him to do it, and then he should tell us.
Just say it. We all really, really, really want to make a DLOD anime. That's like the dream for us. Like we're all massive anime fans, and it would just like the universe of DLOD would work so well in that format, and like the way the action would play out, and like it'd just be perfect for it. And there's been a little bit of talk of just like, oh, that's like, you know, that's a possibility of how things could go if the book sells well and the puppet show does well and there's some interest, and that's something we could shop around. So we really want all this stuff to go well, because that is my dream project to work on.
100%.
You know, writing and producing that, and yeah,
that'd be such a good thing that would bring together, I think, all of our talents at the highest peak, because, you know, it's at that point you're talking about filmmaking, like because anime or animation, whatever, like that is a movie or that's a series. That's a 100% real thing. But what's great is because it's animated, it lends itself to this style of story so well that literally the possibilities are limitless, because there's practically nothing that would stop us from doing whatever it is, that the story needs, which would be so much fun to do.
Well, I almost think about have you ever played the Nair games?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Right? That producer guy, it's all canon. And he comes out with anime, and the anime has puppets in it, and it has live action in it, and it's using CG. And then he has stage shows where the stage shows I have to go find a YouTube video to find out like this is the next level of that story. So yeah, I appreciate that you all value these characters so much and can see that possibility. And animation is such a great medium for telling a story of this scope. I think it's important that you say it to the universe because now people will also start looking at this as an anime, and you're going to find those like-minded people. But anime's all over the place. Are we talking Dragon Ball? Are we talking Gundam? What aspect of what is the different sites that people have for this anime?
I mean, think about it
Go ahead, Trevor.
Okay, we've discussed a lot about like the way that the story is structured in the graphic novel and how basically Pineapple Pete. I don't know if this is. Can we go into this? Is this okay, Gabe?
Gabe's smirking over there.
Gabe, you can't yes and company secrets. Is this okay to talk about?
Pineapple Pete is a video game simulation. Okay, that's in the log line. Okay,
sure.
And he's doing this over and over, and so like we really have this awesome play of time. And we've kind of played around with the idea that like this puppet show is the first simulation he's put these characters through, and each type of media is a different simulation, and the anime would just be an earlier simulation. And so like we could really like and so basically we can kind of use the characters in a whole nother like when we talk about alternate universe, like Michael, what would you be doing in this universe or that universe? It kind of works that way for these simulations.
Oh, you're talking about the hit Gwyneth Paltrow movie Sliding Doors. That's what you're talking about.
Of course,
if I make the train or if I don't make the train.
If I'm not talking about that, then I'm lying.
Okay.
So like it's kind of like I imagine kind of something that is a bridge as well. Kind of like One Punch Man has like mixed animation styles. Kind of goofy in a place. I Bleach does it as well with with her drawings. Go ahead.
Wait, no, you just mentioned. We were talking about your influences earlier. Is One Punch Man the anime version of Ren and Stimpy? Because sometimes it does really crazy stuff, but then it does goofy stuff. And Ren and Stimpy would do that stuff. Now they would do the gross factor of it, but like One Punch Man has a ton of like super cool, super silly, super like deformed or depressing, something like that. Is One Punch Man Ren and Stimpy of anime?
It's gotta be.
You're onto something, man. Yeah.
I think I want to hit this real quick. Like, animation, especially in the West, went through a weird time where, specifically talking to feature films, where they kept trying to make animation photoreal, right? Do you remember that era? It was like 2007 to 2015, 16. It was a weird, it's like everything, like freaking the
Polar Express time.
The Polar, no, not just like that, but like the Smurfs, or what's that freaking orange cat? I cannot
Garfield.
remember. Garfield, yes. Like they made a Garfield that was photorealism. And they had a Smurfs that was photorealism. They had a Ninja Turtles that was photorealism.
Alvin and the
Chipmunks that was photo. There was this weird thing. We were just stuck in that world because like everyone was excited that they could render hair or something. And now, in the last 5 years, we've seen, specifically speaking on the Western media type of things, we've seen an acceptance that animation is a different medium, right? So now you got like Into the Spider-Verse, you have Arcane, you got freaking the new Ninja Turtles movie that looks amazing, right? You have like just people are finally starting to see what was the cat? A different cat. The
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots, yes. Like we have the public has accepted that animation is its own thing, and we're in an experimentation zone right now. So one thing that I would like to do, what I think DLOD owes itself to do the most bizarre, crazy thing that no one's ever seen before with when it comes to animation, because the public audience will accept it, and also because it literally makes the most sense for the book, you know. So I think that would be really fun to mess with.
It's
Is just
not
make
even-
our own style.
It's not even about the about something that people haven't seen before, but I think what DLOD does really well is it takes a bunch of different things and marries them together in a way that is interesting, goofy, and weird. And so, like, if we can marry styles and pull animation from this realm and this realm, and then mix in a puppet, and then mix in a real hand, and then, you know, have all those things.
I love that.
But we don't really, so that's how I feel.
Well, Ryan being a fabulous director, we're losing our light now. He set this up so perfectly at just the perfect time as the show will fade out and will fade.
Dude,
Where can we? It's backup light.
I can keep it on for a bit, but don't want to kill the battery. But yeah,
I hear you. Well,
Before
when
we
is
wrap
all
up,
of this-
Michael, I actually
sure.
Before we wrap up, Michael, Gabe sent me the first episode to share with everyone today, and I figured let's watch that first episode before we do our closings, right?
Can we do the freaking culture?
Taylor, can you play the intro before you play the video?
Do you want me to play the intro? We could do the intro and then just go right into presenting.
Real quick, could you read?
All right. As I hit that, Gabe was saying something. So.
Oh, yeah, no worries. I was gonna say before we play the episode, I was gonna see if we could just get a shout out to the cast really quick. Because they've all been on strike and they've been super. They've just been very kind, allowing us to get their opinions on things and all the stuff going on behind the scenes. So we could just do a shout out for them.
Yeah.
Shout
out, of course.
Shout out. Was that the shout out?
Yeah,
was that the prenup to the shout out?
Is that a moment of silence?
Yeah, what was that? That was exactly what it was.
No, let me see.
We got Lexi, we got Amber, we got Ray, we got Dan.
We got me,
DJ EFN. Yeah, we got some great people on the job, dude. It makes our lives easy.
It does, yeah.
It's so good.
And then one more time for Devin for just absolutely crushing the puppeteering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
could not have done it without him.
Before we do the show, that was one thing. Like, there's a lot of serendipitous things that have happened in the creation of this. And like Devin was at Ryan's house. How do you know him? Is your cousin or something?
No, he is my sister's boyfriend. And they're awesome together.
Yeah. And that was like a week before we were gonna shoot, and he was like, "Yeah, I can do it." And
Guys,
we were like,
Ryan has magical drums. They just bring all the kids in the neighborhood to that garage, and that's where we hear it.
Let's go.
All right, Taylor, jump on in. Shout outs to everybody involved, because I can't believe I even clicked on the link and the email you had sent. I was like, oh, I can't watch it yet. It's not out yet. So let's watch it, everybody.
Yeah.
And you're just in time for another round of Lava or Licorice! And it's about to get hot! You know what I think I really like? Game shows. I also really like volcanoes, because I'm a volcano. And you know what I like most of all? Game shows inside volcanoes. And you know what I like even more most of all? My belly of flaming fire!
Welcome to Lava or Licorice. If you answer a question right, you get a licorice point. If you answer the question wrong, you get the lava. Our contestants need to collect 5 yummy licorice points to win. I'm your host, Pineapple Pete. Let's reveal today's category. Today, our category will be the ocean. And our first Quizler will be, how much of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean? Let's spin the Wheel of Doom to see who gets to go first. Dizzy, I guess you're leading us off. How much of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean?
Dude, if you think about it, the ocean's like giving the Earth a big hug. Oh, we should all be more like the ocean and love the Earth more. And stuff.
Dizzy, that is such a heartfelt, special response. But it's also wrong. You get the lava.
No! Wait! This isn't lava at all! This is pizza sauce, my good man!
Oh no, we lost Dizzy.
Let's go pizza sauce.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. Oops, my bad, Pete.
Let's see who goes next. Time to spin the Wheel of Doom. Dana, you're up. The question is, how much of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean?
Well, in all of my planetary travels, I have only ever been to Earth a few times. And I must say, without a doubt in my mind, and with every fiber in my being, that I will let it ring true, and I will let it ring loud all the way to the titans of the old cosmos, that I, Dana Deathly, don't know the answer to this question.
Thank you, Dana, for another complete waste of everyone's time. May I please introduce you to the lava? Well, that leaves us with the one and only Commander Echo. Commander, your Quizler is literally the same. I don't want to repeat it, but I will anyway. The Quizler is, how much of the Earth's surface is covered by ocean?
Oceans. Oceans. You bore me with your questions about the oceans. The ocean is weak and foolish. If I covered 71% of the Earth, I would turn that planet into the ultimate weapon of power and darkness.
Wait, are you answering the question by stating that the oceans cover 71% of the Earth?
Of course I am, Pineapple Demon. This game bores me. Now release me from my cell so that I can seek my revenge.
Commander Echo, you are correct. The ocean covers 71% of the Earth's surface. One licorice point for Commander Echo. Yay! Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Wow, that game was a lot of fun. Let's check the scoreboard and see how many licorice points our contestants have racked up. Looks like Echo is leading the way with 1 licorice point. Well, that's all for now. We'll see you next time for another round of Lava or Licorice!
Yeah.
So much work. There's so much going. Not that it's all over the place or anything like that, but like, wow. I felt the same way I think you showed everybody else. It's very funny, and it really hits that line of you're really hitting on all of those cylinders, and that volcano puppet is great, is wonderful.
Dude, he's so good.
It's I mean all of it. It is that nostalgia light, that like, oh, that's the puppet from my favorite commercial I've never seen. You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff. There is a great you treated us here. We got to see it. People are going to rewatch this again, but when can they watch it? When does it release to the world?
Tomorrow, man.
Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Yeah. September 26th, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
On all platforms, I would assume. I mean, yes, it'll be on YouTube, but can they watch it on other things as well?
YouTube, it's on YouTube and YouTube Kids right now. Oh, it will be on the 26th. Yeah.
They're going to be tickled by this. Where can they go find the inspiration? How can they get their hands on the comic book?
So right now, at wherever books are sold, let's see, like Amazon, just type in Digital Lizards of Doom, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart,
Simon and Schuster.
Simon and Schuster.
Bam.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. And book one comes out the 5th of December. And we will actually, you know, for those of you who are in Southern California, we will actually be doing a signing on the 5th. And we'll be probably showing some more episodes of the puppet show. But we're going to be doing a book signing and a reading at a Barnes & Noble store here in San Diego. So we're really excited about that.
Hey.
We shouted out the actors. We shouted out all of the all the things that are going on behind the scenes. What other shout outs need to be said before we lose you to your creative juices to do more production meetings behind the scenes of you guys now putting these characters on Mount Rushmore? Because the future is limitless for Youth 4.
I would say we got to shout out Mad Cave Studio and Paper Cuts. They've been behind us and so supportive. Just, you know, they've loved it, and so we've really felt the support from them. Gabe, anybody else? I mean,
Gabe's roommates probably for letting us shoot the first 8 episodes in their living room.
Yard Cat Studios is what we're calling it. That's
Studios. Yeah, dude. I mean, I just want to shout out these guys. Like, just crazy work has gone in. It's like I have all these, like, you guys I'll send these over your way, but like I have all these like videos of like what it's like behind the scene, get a little interview with Ryan and what he's thinking. There's just so much stuff that goes into it. Gabe edited all the audio, every single thing.
Everyone's wearing like 35 hats, dude. It's like everyone's doing everything. So it's pretty incredible.
I'm sure we're forgetting some people, but we love everybody who's been involved.
Well, no one has mentioned their pets. I'm sure there are some dogs and cats that are not getting snuggles right now, and I didn't hear anybody address them.
That's true. They're starting a little underground coalition to fight back.
We're gonna make our own puppets.
Yeah. I kind of want to double down on what Trevor said. Is like this, and I'm not trying to like be dramatic about it, but there's so much work and there's so much time that goes into this, making it funny, like, and refining things. And it's so rad working with these 3 guys because we all have ideas. We all want things we want to do. And all of us, because we all want the product to be the best it can be, whenever we're challenged on an idea, we all have the same attitude. We all take the same attitude. Like, okay, you know, I really wanted this thing, but these guys wanted a different way. And I trust them, which is one of like my first rules. I was told this years and years ago, and I wish I could remember the person who told me this, but it was like, when you work with people, try to work with people you're already a fan of, because it helps with a lot of things. It helps with your respect for them. If you already appreciate the art that they're making on their own, then it really helps you listen to them. It respects them. So because no one's ever going to agree with every idea you have. So of course, when I'm challenged with something, like I really wanted a scene, and then, you know, I have 3 guys that I respect and love and are funny and make incredible art, being like, Gabe, that is the dumbest idea we've ever heard. It's like,
so put it in.
So do it anyway. No. It's like, I really have to be like, man, okay. And then I'll step back and I'll look at that thing I wanted to do later, because it won't be in there. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, they were right. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I feel like all of us have had that happen multiple times, you know? People like challenging our ideas. And it's like, oh man, I really think this is what we want to do. But then, and then it's like, no. And then you see it and you're like, oh wow. Yeah. Like I'm glad we didn't go with my idea, you know. So
on the flip side too, if somebody's willing to make their case for something that they really find to be important, or like, no, this is really funny and I'm going to explain it to you because we haven't shot it yet where you will see that it's funny. Everyone else is like willing to sit there and be like, oh yeah, that is a good bit. Let's try it out. Let's do it.
It's just always the team versus the problem. And we're all 4 of us have the same mindset that we just want the product to be the best it can possibly be. And so every idea is coming from that place of, is this the best decision we can make? And so the ego just goes out of the way, you know, because it's never my idea versus someone else's idea. It's always best idea wins, you know, and I think we're all super honest about that, which is awesome.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
You are the Four Musketeers. D'Artagnan is already part of the group. You're taking down the French aristocracy all over the place. I appreciate all of that. And I appreciate all of your time. Thank you for coming here and chatting about all of this and taking a break from the amount of work that you need to do. Please add to the list of things to do. Someone needs to start editing that behind the scene footage because that's great footage. We can put that on everything. I would like to see that. I don't know who's going to take that on.
Nose goes.
Okay, great. Nose goes. Thank you.
Okay, guys. I'm gonna do it.
Trevor,
Anyway.
you're doing it. Sorry,
I'm
buddy.
gonna do it anyway. Yeah, you guys.
This is how we deliberate.
Yeah. It's funny because it's also just a puppet show. You know, like
it's not that much. It's just
it's like
it's
like crazy, like how large of a part of our lives it is. But then, like in that perspective, it's like there's So it's fun. Fun's cool.
Well, anytime you would like to come back and talk about this baby that you have all birthed together, we come show it off, show us its first pictures, its first steps. I would love to talk about this. We only touch Star Fox. There's lots of other things to chat about, but we will let you get on with your evenings. Thanks you so much for joining us here at The Cultured Nerd.
Thank you guys so much. This is awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
You know who else appreciates us? All those fine folks over at the patreon.com/theculturednerd. Thank you so much for funding us and keeping us open. We just talked to a bunch of people that are funding their dreams. Thank you for funding ours. These are all of our nice people that make and keep this show afloat. Our host has been Taylor Murphy. I am your co-host, Michael Santel. Thank you, Jose Navarro, for that logo. Taylor Murphy and Jay Stu coming with those hot wardrobes, letting everybody know that we're here. If you have those cell phones, whip them out. Hit that code right there on that screen. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know, what are you excited about with this show? What episodes are you excited for? And Taylor, thank you for bringing on another wonderful guest.
It's always fun, and every one of you guys are more than welcome to come back as many times as you want. And every time you guys prepare a new season, prepare a new book, whatever, you're coming on. So that's what the plan is. So
that's right,
Taylor. Thank you all for joining us. And we will see you next time.
Hook 'em while they're young. Bye, everybody.
You always have to phrase it like that.